Perfect. So I want to welcome you to a very special session today. It's not something that we've done before in this sort of format. You know, we've had a number of different firsts in the past, doing jams, doing virtual jams that we did recently for Volt MX. But I don't ever remember that we've done a concept type presentation to share a brand new idea with you ahead of actually delivering our product. So our goal for this session, or if you like, the concept here is to reinvent and expand the video meeting use case. Now, you heard some of that from Guinea, for those of you that joined us for the Same Time session. So we want to evolve what Same Time does for our Domino customers into their true digital office. You know, like the automotive industry, you know, Project Yuzu is a concept car for what the future digital office may look like. So today I'm joined again, back to back, Renee, here to share this concept with you for the digital office. So let's get started. So let me set some context. You know, we remember the office. It's not only a place to work, but it's a place to gather. You know, it was easy to have a conversation that was ad hoc or more formal meetings or conversations. I know, I sort of miss it. Also, right, for many of us, whether the team actually owned a room or not, it really didn't matter. You know, there was a place and a time when your team shared their progress with a project. You had a sense of belonging and a feeling of familiarity in a space that you used. And sometimes you would go to that room or that place to work alone. I know I did many times, and you felt sort of focused there, and you were separated from all of the other distractions about what was sort of going on. Also, you know, do you remember having these types of meetings? Now, the beers actually wasn't always in the workplace here, but it's where you had a chance to enjoy your day with your coworkers. You could think out loud, you could debate, you could play devil's advocate with different ideas, but you got work done, and it really helped to form everyone into a great working team. With that setup and thinking about those things for how work was done before, I'm going to hand over to Renee to take you through the details of the Project Yuzu concept. So over to you, Renee.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, so this is how we used to work, right? We went to offices, we met with people, we had conversations, we met face to face. And since we're all working from home now, as you can see, that all changed. So what naturally happened is that we all started using tools that were either provided by IT or, you know, people brought their own apps in to talk with people. So it is technically very easy to start a chat, create a channel, share a file in Teams or Slack or whatever tool you have. That all is not hard. But the reality is, and I'm sure by now everyone has experienced that, the cohesion is missing, right? So you have chats here, chats there, meetings here, you talk to people in video meetings, but you're missing the secret sauce that brings it together. So you're starting to forget where files were, where's the latest version of a presentation that you need to work on. Was it in this chat or in that group? It's all becoming a little bit difficult to manage. So this is the starting point to where we took a step back and thought, how can we provide the structure where teams and people working on initiatives or projects can actually execute towards that outcome, communicate along the way, but never miss a beat, and more importantly, never miss the context of what they're working on. So this is what we actually set out to do, and we call this the digital office, and we call it Project Yuzu. Now, many of you might wonder, what's a yuzu? What a kind of funny word is that? A yuzu is actually a hybrid citrus fruit that sits between a grapefruit and an orange. So it takes elements of the whole citrus family and puts it into a very unique flavor. So it's used a lot in Asian and Japanese cooking, and adds a really nice element that's unique. And that was the inspiration. Like, take a hybrid of a couple of things and put it into a new experience. So we're evolving same time from chat and AV meetings to something that goes way beyond that, that provides a virtual and persistent workspace where people can get together to work in a stateful environment towards an outcome. So that's the high level. Now, let me introduce you to a metaphor that it really works well in kind of getting the idea across. So you see a small plane cockpit here. And really what we're trying to do is to build something that feels like this. Even though you have the clouds outside and you can't see anything because it's all murky, there's too much information, too much going on, it's all obscured, you have your horizon, your virtual horizon that gets everybody in line, right? You have your meetings with your colleagues, your team members that you're working on in a project, and that horizontal line, the horizon, represents the ability to get everybody back on the same page and follow in line and be working towards the same goal. All of that in the context of the heads-up display, which represents the ability to show you everything that you need to work on this project, right? It could be your presentations. It could be PDF files. It could be the meeting notes that were taken during previous meetings that you want to come back to. It could be the persistent chat that you need to bring in. It could also be low-code apps that you want to make part of this project. Now, beyond the heads-up display lies the cockpit. The cockpit is the representation of your broader view across the multiple projects you're working on, because you're never working on just one, right? That's just wishful thinking. There's always 5, 10, 15 projects that you're involved in. And the cockpit, if the red light flashes over there because one project is getting a little running into trouble, you can pull that up from the cockpit, put it on the heads-up display, you dive into the office, into the virtual office, and see what's going on, and you can jump on tasks that you need to do. So this is what we want to accomplish, this really clear vision of how you can actually work on initiatives, on projects, and bring all these tools together into one really good new solution. Of course, we have to understand when we define a new category, what kind of use cases we're trying to address, right? Every solution is only as good as the use case you define it for. Otherwise, it's going to be a little difficult to sell it. So we have a list of 5 use cases that we defined so far, and you could think of a sales team, right? You have a sales cadence, or maybe you even have a large deal that came in or has not come in yet, an opportunity for a large deal. And now we quickly need to gather the sales leader, the seller, the tech sellers, product management, and other resources to actually come together to have recurring meetings to discuss the strategy, break down the tactics, assign tasks and to-dos, go back and forth in chats on decisions, but do that all within one space where nothing is lost, where you always have the latest version of everything in one space, right? And every time you have a sales a cadence meeting, everything is right there. Another example could be, an M&A project, merger and acquisition, where a very small team of people needs to work in a very secure environment where they can define what companies they're targeting to acquire, why they're doing it, developing the business cases, have secure meetings, have secure chat, and all the documents that are related to it in that same digital office that's locked with a key, right? That would be your M&A use case. I want to go all the way over to the right for the last use case that I'm going to cover, and that's Agile development. I have a use case here that is centered around a company called Sharp Contour. It's a small startup game developer who's building games for mobile devices And the situation here is that they had a first version or a first game out called Lunar Raid, and getting that out the door was a very tricky process because there was no process. There were no focused communication channels, no place where the latest versions of everything were kept. So Carl, the product owner, is now kicking off the next project for the next title called Jungle Raid, and the tool that he needs will help him to bring all the developers, front end, back end, the designers, himself, and other people together to align everybody and make sure the project is developed on time. So let's see how that works. Here we have what the digital office could look like when actually everything kicks off. So Carl is starting off with inviting everybody into a meeting, right? So he has all the developers there, the designers. He's setting the vision for what they need to do with Jungle Raid and develop the steps to get there. So he sets up one meeting. This can then turn into a recurring meeting, but here's the difference. This is not just a meeting tool, right? This meeting, everything that happens in this first instance of the meeting is persistent. So it's not just a meeting, it's a persistent meeting that's happening in that digital office. So you see the chat over there, you see meeting notes, you see files that you can actually tear off and show while you're in this live meeting. And the meeting notes are collaborative. So one person here could be taking the minutes, and then other people could add paragraphs at the same time. But this is not fleeting, right? This is not something that's just in the moment. This stays within that digital office, which means that in between meetings, when people actually get the work done, they can go back to the same digital office. So what you see on the screen right now is the same digital office, but not during a live meeting. But we still have all these elements available. We see meeting history. We can open up the meeting notes there. We have the chat that is still going on. We have a widget here that shows tasks, where we see what needs to be worked on. And of course, all the files that were uploaded. It could be, early sketches for the different characters in the game. It could be the flow of the game, etc. All of this is kept in one place, so you never, ever guess, what chat did I share that in? No, because you share it here. It's part of the digital office, and the meeting is really just one tool to get everybody together. So on that train of thought, there's, of course, more you can do, right? You can use, for example, activities here to display all the tasks in a Kanban board. You can move things around and check off tasks, all to the point that in between meetings, you still go to the office to get work done, right? But everything based on this particular project. Now, the activities that you see here, right, that's something that will be part of the product. But now you start maybe thinking, what if, right? Maybe I'm working for a larger organization and we use Jira. Can I integrate that? That would be the goal, right? Because maybe that's something you already use. You want to bring that in. Or the other example would be to allow you to build low-code apps and integrate that into the digital office experience. So what you see on the screen right now is the same dashboard that we saw before. So this would be your heads-up display if we go back to the small airplane metaphor here, right? So your heads-up display here gives you access to all the components and assets and artifacts within the project, but you also can embed low-code applications. So the mobile device order here is actually a Volt app where you can select a phone because, again, we're talking about a game developer here for mobile devices. The developer needs devices to test everything on. So you can actually place the order here, and then you'll get the new phone because in the background, Volt then kicks off that process. So integration and expandability are key to what we're doing with the digital office. Okay, So let's have a quick look at a architecture here. And you see the gray box in the middle. This would be your Yuzu experience, right? Where we combine, starting on the left, the cockpit, if you will, your project's overview, where you can see all the 10, 15 projects you're working on. You can click on them, bring them up to the heads-up display and dive in. And then there you will see things like your tasking activities, apps and workflows, the video meeting and the persistent chat in the context of this initiative, right? You have all the artifacts and content, so files with the ability to do round-trip editing, the collaborative note-taking, a forum, and then the low-code integration where you can actually quickly build applications that you might need during the process. So insight and governance, further down the road, we'll be thinking and adding that. And tailored experience is the idea of being able to set up templates for specific projects where you say, we have this one thing that we do over and over again. Let's create a template for this type of project to get it done quickly. All right. Our goal is to deliver this in a cloud-native way because we know very well that a lot of our customers have concerns about data privacy, about data crossing international boundaries, etc. So we want to make sure that you can install it locally, on-prem, or with a hosting provider. If we go cloud-native, we leave all these options open. And then in the bottom layer, you see that we are thinking a lot about how to integrate this. On the screenshots, for example, you saw the horizontal calendar bar, which is a nice way of always keeping you abreast of your upcoming meetings, even outside the project, so you don't miss one, right? So you see calendar here, databases, but of course also Domino and connections will be integrated. And then the ecosystem speaks to the fact that we will work very closely with our partners who can, of course, build on top of this. Okay, so how does this fit into the overall digital solutions portfolio, right? A new offering, a new concept within products that we already have. You have to be very clear and concise as to where this fits between what's already there. We have chat and meetings, right? Where you talk about transactional conversation that is pretty much in the moment. Even though it's persistent, let's be honest, you don't go back to a large group chat to see what was discussed 3 months ago. That's just not how your brain can digest it, right? So AV meetings, chat, that would be your same time. We have communities, network, expertise. This speaks clearly to what Connections offers, right? Where we talk about engagement and collaboration across communities where people are at the center and where it's all about sharing knowledge. So you set up all your communities and people have access and can collaborate on a large scale. And then over to the right, when we take this to the level where we talk about large extranets or intranets, this is where your DX would come in for corporate identity-driven communication and the official larger scale intranet, extranet. So Project Yuzu fits right in where we talk about very specific outcome-driven environments where a small group of people gets together to get something done and needs that virtual office idea where everything is kept. It's not broadly shared. That's not the point. That's, a community. It's really about we have these 10 people, 20 people. We need to get things done. We need to know at every point in time who works on what, and we need to meet quickly. We need to chat. That's where Project Yuzu fits in. Okay, with this, I'll hand it back to Andrew.
Thank you, Rene. I've seen this a number of times, but to me, it's still very exciting of what the concept of what we're trying to do here. So thank you, Rene, for making this come alive. So let me be clear about our intent for Project Yuzu here. It's really to expand our same time roadmap in parallel to get us to the vision of the digital office of the future. this is an example of what the roadmap may look like. Now, Guinea is going to take you through, our Same Time Product Manager, through the roadmap for Same Time and go into a lot of detail with that row along the top. And, what we are sort of showing here for Project Yuzu is what we would be adding incrementally on a regular basis to get us to the MVP that Renee was actually showing you. So, if you out there, you need it and you want Yuzu, and over the coming months or so, when we start getting into detail around the requirements, then, this is something that we could have available as an MVP by the end of next year. So isn't that exciting? We think it is. So Renee, next slide, please. So just to summarize why we think this is important, and Renee's done a phenomenal job to describe what it does and also where it fits in the portfolio, and we think that it will help to make employees feel more part of their team, even if they're working remotely. So going back to some of the things that Renee and I talked about during the connection session, it's very important for us that whatever we deliver enables people to start fast and get started easily, right? We want to make sure that Yuzu is a complete concept. It has the capabilities out of the box to get up and running, right? And like the rest of the portfolio, as Renee mentioned, it has to be cloud native because, at HCL Digital Solutions here, we're all about choice. It's about your cloud and how you want to deploy what you're doing. And importantly here is, for all of you Domino customers out there, it integrates seamlessly with your Domino investment. So if you're a user of Domino today, whether you're using it for apps or mail and apps, adding Yuzu to your existing deployment, or for that matter for connections, will add value to the people inside your organization. So next slide, please, Renee. So really, what happens next? Basically, you've heard me say, we want to hear from you, right? Do you think this is a cool concept? Would this be something that you would bring into your organization? And that's where, you come in, right? Specifically is, we want to validate this concept with as many of our customers as possible. If you would like us to share this presentation with other members of your colleagues or other parts of your organization, we'd love to hear from you, right? We will be holding design sessions soon to get your feedback, and you should see dates and times on that, in the coming months or so. But the important thing is we want your feedback. So whether you leave your feedback in the chat so we can grab that later, you join us for the happy hour, which is literally going to happen in 6 minutes, or you join one of the workshop sessions or maybe one of the roadmap sessions during the factory tour, please be vocal. We want to hear from you. We want to get your feedback. We think this is one of the things that as HCL Digital Solutions, now everything is under the umbrella. Now we've got momentum. We've got velocity around the roadmap of each one of our products. We have the ability to think about, how can we solve the problems? Because the problems that we had when the products originally built have evolved over time. And there's going to be inflection points. And we think this is an inflection point that where we as an organization can bring innovation and value to you. So, with that, I want everyone to be well. I want to thank you for joining this session. I know it was quick. I want to thank Renee for doing another superb job with the demo and the concept. Please enjoy the rest of the conference. There's still lots more content to come. I know I'm looking forward to the DX Inspire events as well as the factory tour. So enjoy the rest of the conference, and I may speak to you in 5 minutes. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks, Renee. Goodbye.